Hello and welcome to episode 9 of War Down South, the fortnightly Warhammer podcast from the south coast of the UK. My name is Callum and I'm joined as ever by Mr. Ricky Robson.
Hey.
And I'm also joined this week by Mr. Sam Nice. This week we'll be talking about the Games Workshop Decadence and Decay preview, which has seen some details about some upcoming 40k codexes, including Drakari, which I'm very excited for, Dark Angel stuff, and new models for Necromunda and Warhammer Underworlds as well as some very pretty new Slaneshi models for Age of Sigmar. We'll then answer some questions that people have been posting to us and just sort of ramble on until the podcast dies out. So, grab a stiff drink, take a seat, in that order, and let's have some fun. Okay, thanks for joining us again. Callum, Ricky, and Sam here. How are you guys doing this week?
Lovely, mate. Lovely.
Double
All good,
lovely.
mate. Lovely stuff.
Lovely. Long week at work, and then a short week at work this week. So lovely.
Nice. What about you, Sam?
Pretty much the same, actually. Short week, long week, but everything good. Even got a little bit of hobby done this week. In fact, I'm doing some right now.
Me too.
Oh,
I'm
Wow.
doing some green stuffing and recording at the same time because
That's how we
I
roll.
can multitask. Yeah, boy.
I can't.
We're going to ask you a
one thing
question
to
later.
excellence. Yes, I've had a busy couple of weeks at work, but not too bad. Cool. So hobby. I know that we've been sharing what hobby you've been doing, Ricky, with your lovely Trajan Valoran. How's that been coming along?
No, he's been quite a dream to paint, to be fair. I haven't painted a face in like forever.
I was going to say, it's all clown masks for you normally, isn't it?
Yeah, like Eldar don't really do the whole face thing often, and if they do, it's all smooth. So you can't really paint face. So that was quite enlightening for me. So in fairness, that's probably the first proper face I've done in forever.
Proper grizzly old man face as well.
Yeah, that was fun. He was difficult to do because I just didn't know what to do with the axe, so I just kept having to repaint that. That was. But I'm happy with him. I'm really happy with him, and I've just literally started my new Terminators. So all good there.
Woo-hoo. Very exciting. Did you try any new techniques on him, or just where it's a non-elder model, just sort of sticking with stuff that you've used?
Yeah.
before?
So I actually have I haven't ever done a weapon like that before. So the lightning strikes down the axle quite good. And I even did it's not really like a non-metallic metal on his cloak.
Yeah.
But it's to almost be like that because I tried to keep it as a material than I did non-metallic metal like a try about maybe 10 years ago. Never really looked at it since. So thought I'd have a bit of a play with the old browns up to almost like a yellowy white on his cloak eagle. I don't know if I showcased the photo on that, but I can do, and that was quite fun to do. And on his base, started using some new weathering powders. So yeah, I've entered a whole new realm with him,
Cool.
and where the army's going to go. I'm quite excited.
Fantastic. And any other hobby news from you?
How's your baby coming along?
Oh, do you know what? I was doing a bit of work on him today while I was watching the preview. Just the last few bits of filing down and getting so obviously the new Imperial Armor book dropped, and he's actually his weapons have got a bit of a boost because they're kind of all like solid 4 damage or 12 damage or this, that, and the other. Just a subtle boost. So it was a case of just trying to get the pulsar ready to be magnetized to his other arm. So I've got all weapon options available.
I assume the 12 damage is that a sword? Do they have swords?
That's his
I was going to
sword,
say.
yeah.
I was like 12 damage.
You fucking what?
That's his
That's
glaive.
the sword.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he gets a wonderful 6 attacks with that at like strength 18, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's the
Comes with a wonderful Kia action as well.
Slightly,
that's the Shanker Warlord Titan, I think.
Slightly better than Banshees.
Just
a bit, and fantastic. And what have you been green stuffing and working on then, Sam?
I getting impatient for new Death Guard. I just want some sort of leak from the codex so I can really get to building a list. So to keep myself going, I have very limited hobby time at the moment with all the invasions by tradesmen in my house. So I picked up the Wormspat box for Shadespire, and I'm converting the characters in that into characters for my Death Guard.
Correction, it's Warhammer Underworlds. But yeah, cool, very cool. They're a good set of models. What are they being used for within your Death Guard army then?
Well, the big fat guy in it was the main reason I bought the box, because I wanted to turn him into a Blightspawn. So he's now toting a big flamery contraption that's wired into all in his guts and shit with guitar strings and shit. So he's basically got a diarrhea launcher. And
nice.
The other guy, Sepsimus, with the drippy prolapsed anus. I'm probably just going to be using him as a dirt cheap Chaos Lord once I finished him up, to get those rerolls to ones, which are normally so sorely missing from Death Guard.
Are Chaos Lords quite cheap compared to
85
Marines?
Points.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so they're about the same.
Yes, yeah. They're they don't have all of the
toys.
Yeah, toys and stratagem support that loyalists get. But hopefully, once the new Chaos Codexes roll around, they'll make them the proper beatsticks that they're supposed to be. Cool.
Yeah, and he's mostly just for running around,
cool,
supporting.
Yes, and then probably won't even be usable when the new codex comes out.
Probably not. I'm really enjoying converting this model.
No, they've actually got a Chaos Lord entry in their codex, though, haven't they?
They do.
Okay, so probably.
Oh, they won't get rid of that then, will they?
Who knows? Well, they're getting a new Chaos character HQ, aren't they? So
yeah,
don't know.
I imagine he'll be as ridiculously overpriced as the rest of the Death Guard HQ options. Right, I'm going to go and put this down before I put my big fat fingers in the green stuff. Right,
fair enough. I've not done a huge amount of hobby. I've ordered loads of bits and pieces to make the bases for my Drakari. So I've been eagerly waiting the postman to pop stuff through the door over the last couple of days, and he hasn't done it yet.
Bastard.
Yeah,
what?
so I want to start making vehicle bases and get the Tentaluses one underway. But I've built a temporary stand-in Archon using. I've done the classic Drakari thing and using the Vizark, because that's what everybody does. A bit of a head change.
It's got a lot of uses, the old Vizark, isn't it?
I don't think I've ever seen anyone use it as a Vizark.
No, it's because it's garbage.
No, I've got him as an Archon, Autarch,
yeah.
And I've got him as
Autarchs, Azavan, and Archons are his only use. Yeah. It's kind of nice, but he doesn't feel suitably Drakari enough. So I'm waiting to for some more of the Dark Elf warbands to appear on eBay from the new Warcry box. Because there's some in there to make some nice characters. And I like the guy with the big shadowy cloak flowing around him. Feels suitably fabulous enough to be one of my Archons. So I'll probably have a bit of a play about with that and some of those, just to see what I can make once I can actually get my hands on them. But other than that, I've put together some witches, which is good. It's a kit I've not touched in about.
Gonna say, I don't think I've seen you run witches in quite a long time.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen you do witches.
Yeah. I've used them previously. I used them in the 5th edition codex.
Oh God!
And that's how far back it is since the last time I actually used witches. Because I'm mainly a Cavalite man, but they've proved really quite integral to how the army's currently playing under 9th. And hopefully, with the preview today, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, they might have some more uses as actual combat units later on, which would be
excited to talk
which
about
would
that
be wonderful.
preview.
I'm
Excited?
very excited. Apologies, I've just got a message from our good friend Mr. Ben Counter, which is just Sigvald. It's really just set me off, just out of the blue.
I've just got the 5th edition Codex rulebook off the shelf, because it's literally right next to where I'm sitting. So 2004.
Yes, yeah. No,
that's 16 years.
That's not the 5th edition Codex.
Is it not? Not Codex, rulebook.
No, that's still not 16 years old. Surely not.
5th?
No.
No, it can't be.
No, because the current Drakari, as they know, the current crop of Drakari Dark Elder models are 10 years old.
So let me get out the Drakari codexes and let's have a look. See.
But it would have been about 10 years ago the last time I used witches. So yeah, I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
Other than that, I had a birthday this week. Undisclosed age.
You didn't tell us.
Undisclosed age.
You old bastard.
Yeah. So yeah, that was good. So yeah, I've been doing bits and pieces surrounding that primarily over the last couple of weeks. But
time for the annual trip down the old Albert Road rub and tug.
No, they're shut, Sam.
It's non-essential.
Non-essential. But yes, yeah. But other than that, I didn't talk about it a bit later. But I had my first foray into playing a game of Warhammer on Tabletop Simulator this week.
Did you really?
Yes.
How was? Well, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, so we'll have a chat about that once we're done through the preview. But yeah, all right. All right. So, shall we talk about the preview that has finished just about an hour ago? So the Warhammer Community Preview. Can't remember what it was called. Decadence and Decay. So, obviously, a lot of initial speculation that we would see Death Guard stuff and Slanesh stuff, and maybe it's Fulgrim. And oh my word, we're going to see a whole new range of Death Guard models, and none of that. So,
no.
So if we just work through as it was shown to us, I think that's probably the best idea to go through. So did you guys? So before we start that, did you guys have any expectations of what it was going to contain?
I was hoping for Death Guard, but
you're one of those morons.
As we already discussed offline, that probably wasn't going to happen. But well, I've actually got a bone to pick with Callum. Earlier in the week when they did a Death Guard like teaser article on the site where they called him Typhus the Traveller. Callum sent me a picture of Typhus with "Do you like dags?" written on it. And since then, I've not been able to stop imagining Typhus and all his mates sending Fabius Bile gypsy fight videos. Fabius, I got a problem with cheese. And just...
I thought it was perfectly fitting because and he was holding up a towel by the neck, looking like he was talking to him. So it was good.
Yeah, I just can't stop imagining Typhus filming gypsy fight videos trying to track down Fabius Bile. I'm blaming you.
Great stuff. So the first preview was a short animated video titled "Rust to Rust," which has detailed the first Warzone campaign book of 9th edition called Warzone Caradon?
Something like that, yeah.
Charadon or something like that. Yeah.
Why not?
Go with that.
Which is seeing Typhus being sent out by Abaddon to go attack the Forge World of Metallica, which is quite interesting. So we're going to see some wacky stuff there, and apparently...
Enter the Sandman.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of a naff name, I have to admit. Like it was clearly invented. It was clearly
it's definitely a throwback to the old days of Games Workshop,
Yeah.
where you couldn't walk in and there weren't just old men sat around a table grumbling to Slayer.
Yeah, it's definitely from the period of everybody who worked in Games Workshop was a heavy metal fan in the 70s and 80s and
had a mullet.
Yeah,
and
a mustache.
But it's cool. So apparently we're going to see new rules for Death Guard, Adeptus Mechanicus, Imperial Knights. Earlier that said Chaos Knights as well. Definitely did. So that's been edited since. So that's interesting. And Drakari. So it'll be really interesting to see what comes out of this, because we've had dedicated campaign books, most recently in the form of Vigilus, at the start of 8th.
Yeah, it was pretty early on, I think.
Yeah.
And those had a massive impact on how people played 40k, just because they gave everybody the opportunity to spend command points on just making units and detachments better. And I feel like that was a bit of a mistake. It gave some armies some options to play about with, and then it gave some armies the only option to play with. So, for example...
And it gave some armies
and some ridiculous options that they didn't need. So, for example...
Relic Battle Cannon, we're looking at you.
Yeah, Relic Battle Cannon and extra hits on 6s for Guard Artillery and that stupid... What was that Space Marine one? The Indomitus one.
Oh, where he got
where they could just turn around and go, we're Iron Hands this game. But for this battle round, we're also White Scars. So
that was good.
For example, I think it created a crutch in some instances. And what happens when you kick a crutch away? You've either got somebody who was faking it for the social, or they collapse in a heap on the floor. And one of those that has collapsed in a heap on the floor because they kicked Vigilus away was the Gene Stealer Cult. Because they removed the great detachment, and they gave you loads of rerolls to charges and pluses to wound and stuff that turns out they actually kind of need. So I'm interested to see what impact this has on matched play, as the Vigilus stuff isn't really designed for matched play.
Yeah, I mean, do you think people will buy in as heavily into this after the Vigilus thing? Because some people were pretty salty when they found out that they couldn't use the Vigilus stuff anymore in 9th.
I mean,
in match play anyway.
And at least that was set out at the start of the edition. We knew that was the case. Clearly, this stuff is going to be designed specifically for this edition, and I imagine, like always, is designed for all levels of play, so open narrative and matched. And that sort of feeds into the fact that they're releasing a Crusade mission packs called Warhammer 40k Crusade Plague Purge. So there's a bunch of Death Guard specific or missions around designed specifically for this campaign, which is quite cool.
Yeah,
but
I'm thinking people shouldn't be expecting it to be usable beyond this edition.
I don't
not beyond this edition.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, but speculating whether or not stuff will be usable in 3 or 4 years is pointless. But I'm more concerned of whether or not the stuff that's in it is it going to be so impactful. So, for example, I've got a Drakari army. I know that there's a new codex coming, but this campaign book also has rules for Drakari. So, and I'm not saying that I'm not going to buy this book because they're making me buy 2 books to use my Drakari, because I'm going to buy it anyway. But I'm not.
You mean you're not going to?
I've already seen people wearing about that. Literally, the first comment I saw from the thing was, "I'm going to have 2 books."
Yeah,
it's like, you're going to buy it.
I'm not going to complain that I have to buy 2 books, because A, I don't have to buy 2 books, and B, I'm going to buy 2 books. But whether or not the impact of not having access to the stuff in the book, if that is going to be relevant in matched play and at events. And unfortunately, it would lead to something like, I know people don't like to drag around 3-4 books with them to tournaments, and that's what the app's for, and the app is brilliant, and I will slap anybody who says otherwise. It is.
I don't know.
It's all right,
having
listeners. He's made of glass.
But you know, if there is stuff that it is good, you're just going to see a resurgence of people using PDF copies and print off copies, and that's just I hate seeing that.
Yeah.
Like the worst thing that I've ever had is that I played at it might have been First Confrontation. I think it might have been. Yeah, I think it was First Confrontation, and I played against a Blood Angels army, which was like some Storm Ravens and Dreadnoughts and drop pods, and it was some detachment from a book that you could only get at Warhammer World for a specific campaign event, but apparently it was tournament legal. Ricky. But it was just a print. It was just like a badly scanned version of this, which missed out a key word in the folding of a page, which didn't let someone do the thing it thought they could do with it, which was essentially charge dreadnoughts out of drop pods after they deep strike, which you couldn't do back in the day. So bit ridiculous, but anyway. Sorry, that was a bit of a tangent. Sorry, that's been building up for years.
You finished being
a bit salty.
You finished being salty.
Yeah, so I'm glad we're getting more 40k content. I'm just interested to see how impactful it is going to be for those armies. Any thoughts from you guys? I know I've been quite dominant speaking about that, so I'm aware to give you guys some time.
I'm hoping for it to be as exciting as the Vigilus stuff was.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think people should expect it to be around forever, because like when Vigilus dropped, there was no way that stuff was going to be around. So just avoid disappointment and don't have ridiculous expectations.
Well, yeah, and that's sort of part of it. I mean, it's
a campaign book. It will be there and then it won't.
Yes. That's it. I mean, you would have instances where 60% of armies at a tournament were from the Vigilus campaign, 2.5, 3 years after the book was released. So,
it's cool to have it around for a bit, but I'm hoping it's as cool as the Vigilus stuff was, because there was some really cool stuff in there.
Yes.
But like you said, hopefully it'll be a bit more balanced as to what people get, because there really were some shit ends of the stick dished out during that campaign.
Yes, and it's listed as Act 1, so there's clearly like multiple books coming out for it. Any thoughts on that at all, Ricky? Beyond what we've said,
I don't usually give cynical style comments towards a lot of books and stuff that are released, but I really don't feel like this is something worth getting excited about, that new armies are going to get new stuff, this, that, and the other, when all the codexes are all coming out. I just feel it's just the timing's just not right, so I don't feel it's going to be match play.
I'd be. I mean, like, in one way, it is going to be match play because there's Crusade rules. And a Crusade mission pack for it, but I mean that's a perfect point. That all four of the armies that are listed are getting new codexes, and we know Death Guard are coming in December. So,
and Callum, Drakari are coming in January.
Are they? That's good to know. I think I've got some Drakari somewhere.
I had heard.
I just feel it's something just to fill a void almost. I don't know why. I just don't. Just to expand the current what do you call it storyline and so on like that.
I think you hit on something there though, Rick. With the new codexes imminent for a lot of things, and the speed at which they seem to be getting ready to churn them out, I wouldn't expect there to be as much impactful stuff in these books as there was in the Vigilus things.
That's true. That was kind of wrapping up an edition and then sort of rolled over. It sort of filled a void where some armies got codexes like really early at the start of 8th, and people were still using indexes for for a good 6 months after Vigilus was released. The other important thing is to remember, and I know I started to get into this, but obviously the preview is for the upcoming months, and one of the last previews we've only just seen some of the stuff come out for it. So I mean, this book could be 6 months down the line. It could be May, June next year when we've had 10 codexes come out, and it might slot in quite nicely then. So yeah,
I'll accept it then.
Yeah, it does seem an odd announcement.
Sure. We'll write GW and let them know that they can release it when you say.
That's all right. Does that mean I fall in amongst?
No. You are Lord Rick on high. But we all know that there's going to be some factions that I'm ready and waiting for the collective whas across the internet, and they feed my soul.
I mean,
it's always.
I mean,
fun,
I don't really mind because I've got 3 out of the 4 armies that are listed on it, so I'm going to buy it. So I can just imagine if I was someone who, say, for example, plays Adeptus Mechanicus, who, if they're the only army I've got, and there isn't really an indication down the line of when my codex is coming, so I've not seen, GW haven't previewed any models, I've bought, my codex, I've bought the Psychic Awakening because that's had a load of new rules and models in it. And now I've got a campaign book with apparently some new rules in it, all before a new codex. It all just seems, because I can imagine the people like that are like, well, is this stuff going to be rolled into my codex? Because they did that with some of the Vigilus stuff. The second Vigilus book had like the Black Legion rules and loads of stuff like that were ported over to the codex that was released around the same time.
Lots of the Marine stratagems got rolled into that edition of the book as well, didn't it? That was
So hopefully it'll be good. I mean, it looks like a fairly chunky volume, so I'm sure it will please some people anyway. So next down the list, we had the preview of the Dark Angel supplement with a fantastic piece of artwork on the front cover for that. Just looks outstanding. I'm not quite sure what's dead at the foot of the.
Yeah, I can't quite pick that out.
I think he looks quite ornate. He's got like battered reddy pinky arm. But it looks a lot more like the AOS corn stuff. So hopefully that's an indication of maybe what some World Eater stuff might look like down the line. But they didn't really give us much of an indication of what's within the book, other than obviously we're going to see Dark Angels, so we're going to see Ravenwing, Deathwing, and other bits and pieces.
It was quite skipped over, to be fair. They just
and I think it's a sort of here's the front of the Codex supplement. We know it. We already know it's coming in January anyway. Although there's a cool bit on the article on the website saying that Deathwing Vanguard detachments and Ravenwing Outrider detachments will give objective secure to specific units within those.
That's pretty cool.
So that's quite cool that you'll be able to not take. You still have some objective secure stuff without taking a double hit on command points by having to take like a patrol for some Marines and then your Vanguard detachment. So that's quite cool. So we're interested to see how that final lot of Codex Space Marines comes along before they redo the original supplements. And then Drakari?
I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, they didn't mention that. They didn't mention that. You missed that.
It says here they've rehired Gary Morley to do an entire new range.
Oh God!
Of the Druk Harry.
They all have massive hands and ridiculous bonnets.
I can imagine him stumbling somehow drunk into the Warhammer World studio and sculpting barnets on on the existing range. And just sort of, no, he's got out of the pen.
Brown alert! Brown alert! Morley's in the sculpting studio again.
No, I'm sure he was a part of many technological and technical advances within sculpting miniatures. Exactly.
You've got to make mistakes to get better.
I'm glad.
Mistake is giant hands.
Yeah. I'm glad my rampant speculation about Drakari being the first Xenos Codex of this year was proven right. Because A, I like to be right, and B, I like Drakari. As anybody within a 2-mile radius of Southsea could probably attest to, as they heard an ear-splitting when the when the picture of the Codex cover came up. I am very excited. I've recently decided, obviously, as we talked in the last episode, to delve back into Drakari. So to start that process now, and then there being another new codex, which apparently the bullet points on the Warhammer community article are just more attacks, higher damage, lethal combat output across the board. That's what I want. I want my Drakari to. I can remember playing games of 3rd and 4th edition where the scariest thing in the game was an Archon. And you sort of look back to what they do now compared to what they did back then, and obviously they're a lot better now. But like when you used to have your little Archon running across the board, you're like, I'm gonna top myself up on combat drugs. I'm gonna go for +1 attack. That's pretty good. I'm gonna reroll misses. That's insane. And I'm gonna give myself a 12-inch charge. Woo! And then they would just charge into whatever and then blender it.
Unless you said the immortal words, it's all right. He's got a 2+ invulnerable save,
and then
he died immediately.
He died. Which still happens now.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
I played a game of 40k in the last week, where one Archon passed 17 2-up saves in a row, and held up a unit of Lich Guard, and then as soon as I was like, the next turn, it's okay, he's got a 2-up save, he immediately failed it. So it was it does still happen. They are still cursed of rolling that one, but I'm happy. Incubi got a nice little buff. Their second buff in about 6 months. No, second buff in about a year, because they got a little bit of a tweak with Phoenix Rising, which was quite cool. That gave them the extra damage across everybody in the unit when they rolled unmodified 6s to wound, and obviously the new models,
and obviously new models.
Jazar.
Incubi have always been my favourite models in the Dark Elder range.
They're
even back when they were chunky boys in pimp coats.
Yes, yeah. Back in the day when they were striking scorpions that stood up straight. But yeah,
yeah.
But I feel like they've been taller. Like an underused part of the army, just because the guns have just been better than the combat units, and now. No, you go on.
Oh, go on. Sorry. Just to emphasize, literally on that, it's the same across the Eldar range as well as the Drakari range. So the Craft Welders. Like, the guns are better than their Aspect Warriors, so Aspect Warriors just don't turn
that's
up.
exactly
it's the same with the Incubi. And this really reflects the future of those two.
That's basically why I messaged you earlier. I was like, I can't even remember what Incubi do anymore. Is this a big change for them?
I'm reticent to say it's a massive change, but they now reflect really what you would imagine so they're currently 16 points each, and now I think they reflect that quite well. So the buffs now is that they all now hit on 2s, which is quite cool, where the Clavex used to be the only one who hit on 2s. Which is
that's
great.
Incredible.
I would have expected them to have had that anyway. Yeah,
they damn well should be there. They're 10. What are they? They're thousands upon thousands of years old. Like this is, I think, one of the conversations we've had before. Like they really are the martial prowess of their race, and they're
Yeah.
just not as good as a
Um,
fucking marine.
So they got the third attack and fourth attack for the Clavex based in Phoenix Rising, which still makes them super choppy. But then the hitting on twos means that
Yeah.
third attack that they've got, chances are it hits instead of on average failing. But the most important thing
Yeah.
is that all of their weapons have gone up to damage 2. Which is huge. So now they're at
yes.
+2 strength instead of +1 strength. So now each one of them has 3 attacks hitting on 2s at strength 5, AP 2 damage.
They can actually kill a marine with a hit from that cricket bat of theirs.
Well, yeah. I mean, they've currently got a rule where if they roll an unmodified 6 to wounds, they get +2 damage. So at the moment, 6s to wound are lopping aggressors in half and killing them. But the +1 strength is massive, so it'll be interesting to see what the rest of their datasheet looks like. Because
It'll be interesting to see where they put witches as well next to them with
yes,
such
yeah,
an increase in weapon
I'm hoping
power.
that the witches become more of a like. Yeah. They're, at the moment, they've got 2 attacks each and they're strength 3, unless you give 1 unit +1 strength with its combat drugs. And that's all they do. They're more useful at the moment for doing actions than. Yeah,
I can see them probably going more towards the
loads of attacks.
Route,
I would like to. Yeah, I'd like to see loads
of
of attacks. I'd like to see some AP on some of their weapons. Yeah,
at least 1.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, Lilith Hesprax currently is AP 4 with her knife because she knows where to stab you.
Yeah, and witches are the same. It's literally like we've got no armor, we're quick, and we know how to stab.
Yeah, I'd like to see.
I'm dead. It always used to be the unit leader in the witch units that did all the heavy lifting with their agonizer anyway.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
so that'd be interesting. I mean, the Clavex still has his second wound, which he gained in Phoenix Rising. I would like to see him have kind of like an Exarch power.
That'd be cool.
Or just have an ability that he can choose.
Given that they're definitely not striking scorpions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they have very much moved away from in the background of them just being striking scorpions. I
always liked it.
I liked it, but then that was back in the dark old days where they were just bad Elder.
That's true. Yeah, looking back on it, it is quite lazy.
They are now. So now they dedicate themselves to fighting with every single type of weapon available. They just choose the massive cricket bats because they look coolest. Which is a very dark Eldery thing. Anyways, it's not an episode on Drakari, however much I'd like it to be, and that's all we've really seen. So I'm very excited. There are coincidentally 2 boxes of Incubi and Drazar sat next to me, so I'll be putting those together over the next week or so. Cool. So we're going to take a break for a second, reload back up, and discuss the remaining parts of the preview. Thanks very much. Okay, so moving on to the rest of the preview. Or before we do that, actually, what's everybody drinking today?
I am. I'm just being a bit normal, really. I got a Captain Morgan's spiced with my cherry Pepsi Max because it's currently on a good price in old Tesco.
Fantastic. Yeah. I'm on a Kraken and cherry Pepsi Max because someone gave me some miniature bottles of rum as a variety for my birthday, and I decided to sink those into a pint glass. So
do you know what's really good is that Tesco, well, my local Tesco anyway, now does Kraken by the litre.
Yeah, they do the big bottles.
I was like, man, you've always just done the small ones. I was like, yes.
And what about you, Sam?
I am actually partaking of the bevies today.
Yay!
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, Alana got sent a massive, massive fucking food parcel from this Italian food company called Florio d'Italia. Don't know if you've heard of them,
Nope.
but in there was some wine and some really nice Italian beer that I am currently sinking and sweating all over my desk, which is rather tasty.
Oh,
What?
fabulous.
What's that called?
This
Or is it a fancy Italian name? And
I'm not going to try to pronounce the rest of it, but the thing that looks like the name says San Gabriele. It's I think this one's a blonde, and it's pretty good. Pretty good.
Okay. Blonde is acceptable beer.
we all
Yeah,
blonde.
yeah. I'm not normally a beer guy.
Yeah,
but
yeah, no. That's good to see. And nobody's blind or sweating drunk this week, which is quite good.
That never happens.
Sure.
That never happens.
On to the rest of the preview. So we've got to see the next installment and expansion of Necromunda, which is House of Artifice, which is the expansion.
I'm something of a scientist myself. It's an entire expansion dedicated to Willem Dafoe.
Yes, so it is the
Yes, it is.
it is the House Van Saar expansion with their book of updated gang rules and their new choices for their gangs, which obviously everybody is super excited about the hoverboards.
To be fair,
I just love
think
how
they're the
mental
best
it's all
looking
done.
ones yet.
Yeah,
They are like I'm glad that that they've sort of rolled really with the theme of each gang for this new age of Necromunda, because they've sort of gone, these are the old metal models that we had and they all had like a wacky twist to them.
Yeah.
Well, what if we literally push that off the deep end and see how far
really
we can
lean
go
into it.
I think the last couple of months we saw the like the jetpack troopers for the Orlok, and stuff like that. But these are another level. So these are
at least they've got something to counter that jetpack.
Yeah. We've got air battles in Necromunda, which is
it's just nice to see, because like for the longest time, expansions in Necromunda were, here's some scenarios, here's maybe a new gang and one or two standalone minis.
Yeah.
This edition, they've gone right off the fucking deep end.
Yeah, I'm really hoping, like, within my heart of hearts, and I mean they released the Slave Ogren crew gang, and that's the only like new gang they've released. But once they've got the expansion books out for all of the main core houses, I'm really hoping we get some of the Outlanders and some of the wacky stuff.
I like the Spirers. I always have.
Yes, Spirers are cool.
And to be fair, to see how far they're pushing these warbands and their technology, it was always hinted that when the Tau Codex dropped back in like 2000, that the Spirers kind of had their hand in that kind of tech.
Yeah,
it'll be really quite interesting to see where they go with this, because obviously the new Fansars are very Ambot. Those new two guys that they've got
with the spider rigs,
are literally just Ambot suit style things.
Yeah, I'm very excited that they've just decided to go, well, what if you gave some lawless people access to some wacky technology and see what they could build with it? And they build hoverboards and energy shields, which is exactly where I would go.
This is that question of if there was a zombie apocalypse and you had to have a weapon, what would it be?
Yes, I would immediately reach for my flyer hoverboard. So I'm hoping that once all of the main houses get done, we'll see some spires, we'll see some ash waste nomads. They would be very cool.
I'd love to see those redone in the new aesthetic.
And of course, scavies. That's what I want back. I want my literal horde of awful gangers.
I've still got my scavies, my originals.
Yeah,
they're in a box stuffed in the back of my shelf somewhere with the rest of my
Yeah.
My fanatic back in the
Some of the best games of Necromunda I've ever had was against Callum's Scavies and my Delat gang that all wanted to be Batman and didn't bother buying any upgrades, anything important first. Everyone had to have a grappling hook.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was-
loved it.
But it was always great. Yeah, my Scavvy gang is currently in one of the classic old GW half folding cases, and it takes up
same.
it takes
exactly
up
that.
it takes up the entirety of one of those, because the last full Necromunda campaign we played, my gang ended up at like 33 models or something like that, because Scavvies could
man.
just. Well, every time under the current, under the previous rules, every time you've finished a game, your Scavvy boss had to take a leadership test, and by every point he passed by, you could increase your maximum gang size by 3. So it's just like it was playing like a game of 40k, just with all of these rubbish Scavvies running around with their free club, and that's it.
and occasionally Karloth Valus.
Yeah, and I used to love Karloth with his him being a flying psychic vampire flying around, and then just giving me more plague zombies. It was great. So yeah, I'm very excited about these. I was on another chat with one of our other friends whilst we were watching the preview, and I said, "It's a shame."
Sorry, what?
It's a shame. Well, it was Nick.
All right.
We'll allow it.
Yeah.
That it's a shame that Rough Riders don't exist in the Guard Codex anymore, because these jetboard guys would be perfect in Jim's Guard Army, which is mostly built out like Necromunda models. Because seeing them with like hunting lances and stuff would be really cool.
I'm sure he'll find a way to shoehorn them in.
Yeah,
I bet he's in his mad science lab right now.
Possibly. But he's moved on to Necrons now. He is part of Operation Moose Ride. So, yeah. So that's exciting. So we'll see some expansion to Games of Necromunda there. And so we're going to roll into Middle-earth now.
Oh.
And who expected... So we were obviously told what game systems that models were being released for, but who expected a giant new plastic tree beard? Because it wasn't me.
No,
and I am
out of nowhere.
No.
Jonathan Rhys-Davies as a tree.
Yeah, it's outstanding. Like,
100%. It reflects him in every way. I was proper like, shit the bed. That's a proper tree beard.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the classic metal model. Like, there's not a lot wrong with it. It looks like him from the films, and this follows exactly the same aesthetic, but scale appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just better.
The video they had was like panning across a forest floor with the new plastic Merry and Pippin, which are lovely detailed models, and then them running away from the new four-jawed Grishnak, and then towering above him was Treebeard. So it's he fills that base, which is either a 60 or an 80 mil. He's very tall.
Yeah. He literally fills it as well. Though,
that's the thing. The current one stands on a 60 mil base, but he doesn't fill it.
No, he occupies that center volume only, doesn't he?
And comes with options of him like with his hands open, or one with a rock. So when he's chucking rocks when they attack Isengard, he has the option to mount Merry and Pippin on his shoulders as well. And the Merry and Pippin comes separately, which is really cool. So
and they're bigger than the other hobbits.
And they're bigger, so they are bigger than the.
I was like,
are bigger than the other most recent. So the other sculpts of them they did, not the Minas Tirith and Rohan ones, but the other like the Mines of Moria ones and the classic old metal ones. Because obviously at this point they would have drunken the Ent draft that makes them the two tallest hobbits in Hobbit history. So that is something that I really, really love about the GW Middle-earth team, is that they are proper Tolkien nerds, and they look great. The models are outstanding, and it's cool to see Treebeard reimagined and just being awesome. Yeah, so that was good. I mean, myself and a bunch of the Middle-earth community were hoping we would see the next. See the next book, but obviously we're not quite there yet. So, but with this, there are no changes to like Treebeard's rules or anything like that. So it's just a really easy way to release a wicked model.
Just
get beautiful new swag.
Yeah, which sort of ties us over for a little bit, which is really cool. Sweet. So, what we got next?
Underworld. Next, wasn't it?
Yes.
Desecrate Diachasm.
Yes. So we all know that the next expansion of Warhammer Underworlds is the Diachasm, and that's I'm not sure if that's later this year or if it's early next year.
They just said it's delayed.
Yes. Yeah.
Just due to Rona doing what Rona does best.
So Diachasm box set drops in the next few weeks. Okay, so it is this year, and that will be the so that's the Slanesh Mortals versus the Lumineth Realm Lords in that box, which is really.
Oh, is that what's in the box?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. There's a bunch
They
of
look really cool.
Really cool. As like there isn't. I don't think there's not an Underworlds gang where I don't like at least half the models for. Like it is just one of those where.
They're all good.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of duds like across the entire range, but they're mostly the rubbish warrior guys that are in the warband anyway.
Yeah.
So these are Kargra's Ravagers. So these are
Angry lady.
Angry, she is very angry. So this is a
ancestral war.
what are they called? Slaves to Darkness. Yeah, with her and her brother / sister. They're sisters. I don't know.
Yeah, well, this was it. Like when they were doing it, they were talking about his brother and sister, and then like.
But the
this is a girl.
Yes.
And then you're looking at it going, is this really?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the other one. It's got horns growing from its head and it's a wizard. So it's hard to tell. So Kargra leaves the warband and she looks hard as nails as anyone leading an ever chosen warband does. There's the wizard, which I can't remember the name for. But she's a beautiful model, really reminiscent of the 2010 Games Day Sorcerer with his hands up in the air, but less gippy. I really like the flame on the staff. It's really cool. Well thought out because the actual scent
to go back around the back of it is quite well done. Rather than through it, like they're quite renowned. Yeah,
it's a lot easier to sculpt the flame over it to make it an easier connection point, but that's spot on. And then there's two. They're fairly generic Chaosy Warriors, but they are under the new aesthetic, and they look badass. They are head to toe in big thick armor. They've got big capes. One of them's got a big shield. One of them is rocking the old axe and sword combo. Just another awesome set of models for I think an underappreciated game is Warhammer Underworld.
They all look like they're about to answer the question, what is best in life? And I love them.
If we go back to the Sorcerer, there's obviously they talked a lot about the star and the way the flame worked, and obviously we've emphasized it. But I think what's really forgotten is that hand. The hand actually gels with the flame. Yeah. And that's something I don't think we've ever seen across any Games Workshop model at all, is because usually it's a hand that comes out and then the flame sits on top.
Yeah. Not that well
rather done. Than it just feels like it's actually properly coming from it for once. And this is a fantastic piece of sculpt through and through. It's the best model in that game.
For sure. And the level of detail on the two faces is outrageous as well.
Oh yeah, it's I've just enlarged the Sorcerer on my screen, and it's like that face is next level. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I do like the one with the axe and the sword as well. He's getting a virtual hug.
Yes, I think a lot of people in the chat of the preview are like that's a very Slambo-y.
It's very
of course, Slambo.
It's very reminiscent of one of the classic champions, not even Slambo, like one of the really old Chaos champions. I'm fairly certain this is an homage to that miniature.
Yeah, got shield on his back as well, or her back. We're not quite sure about the gender of this one.
I like that. Normal Chaos Warriors appear to have cottoned on to decent shield size and are all packing Varangard-sized shields now.
Yes, they are. I mean, that's something that goes across the existing Chaos Warrior range. They're just the shields are
giant slabs of metal.
The thing I really love about the the current range of Slaves to Darkness models, and especially how they've painted them, is like they are all trying to copy Archaon's fashion sense. So they've all got massive horned helmets. They've all got big.
Do you think they get a magazine?
Big, fabulous red capes, and like the Chaos Knights have the cape like coming over the front of their armor, so it's almost like a poncho, and it's like they all want to look like the boss to try and get in his good graces.
Chaos vote.
I'm waiting for Archaon to start dressing like a twat just to mess with them.
Well, dressing like a twat, shall we say, is we finally reached the Decadence portion of the preview.
Ooh.
And the return of Sigvald the Magnificent. So Sigvald was an old Slaaneshi Chaos Lord back in 7th edition, I think. Yeah, so it was definitely 7th edition because I had an army with him in. It was a really cool model, but it never felt chaosy. It is definitely.
I don't think he's
supposed to look like the perfect embodiment of a human.
In fact, he still doesn't seem chaosy.
You say that, but this is going to be the basis for every Slaanesh Demon Prince we see for the next God knows how long.
Yeah,
this is literally written all over it.
Yes, yeah. So, not Fulgrim written all over it. So I like that they've taken a bunch of the aesthetics from the original model. So he's got the 6-pack armor. He's got the sculpted armor. He's got like the really fine sword and shield.
The paint job on this is just exquisite.
I can really appreciate it. I don't like it. I can imagine the amount of work that's gone into that paint job is outstanding, and it is incredible. Just not a fan personally.
Oh, I love it. I love that he looks like he's walked straight out of like an old religious painting, like a fallen angel. He just looks amazing.
Oh yeah. I like I said, I can really appreciate it, and it is outstanding, but doesn't.
They didn't reveal who hated him, and I will put money on it's Max Faligi or whatever his name is, Faligi.
Well, we can all make
however
that
they pronounce it.
Yeah, it's definitely that one guy.
Yeah, no,
I love him. He's the best. I don't know his fucking name. Fuck him.
I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Is he the head?
Fledgy?
Heavy metal now. Yeah, I think I know the one. He was the one who did the talk about how they painted the blade guard. Is that him?
Yeah, that's correct.
Quite a while. Yeah, the Indomitus preview. Yeah.
Well, a few previews ago. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. But I like that they've got. It shows. That original. I'm looking at it on the Warhammer website now, and they've got like a little scroll between the classic and the new model, and like that's a beautiful model, the original metal, and they've just
when that came out, that was amazing.
Yeah, they've just taken it up a notch. You've got like the swirly patterns in his vambraces and his greaves, which are clearly just sculpted into the green stuff of that original model, whereas now they come out of the armor like it's been forged that way, and it is outstanding. I like that they've I was going to say they've taken so the one flaw that Sigvald used to have, he used to have 2 tiny horns growing out the back of his neck or out the back of his head that he used to cover with his magnificent golden hair, and I like that they've just gone off the other end and given him a giant pair of horns.
Yeah, and clearly he's been on the fucking growth hormones.
Yes, yeah. That's the other thing to say, that this model is massive. I was part of the Jakari group. I love
the ruins that they've put in the base as well. Like those are really cool.
As part of a Jakari group that was losing its mind over the Codex, and someone popped up and was like, "This is going to be my new Archon." Is your Archon 20 foot tall? this model is massive.
This is his new.
It could be actually. And then moving on to the other Slaaneshi mortal models they previewed. So there's the Myrmidesh Painbringers.
I like these.
Yes, these are I love the way these are painted. Like this metallic is outstanding.
These are such a nod to some of the like a couple of the classic Realm of Chaos Slanesh sculpts.
Yes, yeah,
but they're just better.
Well, they are.
Like,
they are. Yeah, exactly. They are.
Time and technology has moved forward, and it has brought us lovely new toys.
Yes,
Look at them.
They are exactly in the style of that old Chaos Lord of Slanesh on Steed, aren't they? They've got the thin helmets and the big peaks, and just the flowing armor is just
and the same style.
They are outrageous. Like the shields are great. The colors that they've used on. I mean, they've got like a gladiatorial feel to them, which is really cool because their armor's kind of mismatched on a few of them, but just outrageous. I mean, depending on how big they are, because that's something that's quite hard to tell, obviously, from the previews. Is I can imagine we're going to see these with guns as people's noise marines, fairly sharpish.
That's going to happen, I reckon.
Yeah, so depending on the scale, because they might be, they might be slightly smaller, because they may just be not Chaos Warrior equivalents. They might not be like Blood Warrior equivalents. They might be like Blood Reavers. So they might be on the smaller side.
Okay,
but we'll see. I mean, the helmets alone, I can imagine seeing on Noise Marines and Slaneshi characters. And all the swords and stuff. So,
the twin souls are quite interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like the idea of them.
Yeah.
I really like the idea. The whole pairing of mortal and demon to make a
I like their weird distorted faces.
Looking.
Yes. Yeah. So this is I'm pretty sure they're the same. Are they the same kit?
Yeah. It's a dual kit.
It looks like it. They're all wandering around with like vials of liquid. I'm not quite sure what that is, but I imagine it's something to keep the demon in check. But like you guys were saying, the idea of them being paired with a demon and inhabiting the same body is really reminiscent of the Galvabrak in the Horus Heresy series. So the first possessed were sort of like they weren't just possessed; they weren't just a demon running around in a Marine's army. They
were willing participants, aren't they?
Yeah, and they. Yeah, and
like
they share the body. So the Marine then gives over to the demon when they need to use the demon's power. And then the demon's always trying to wrestle control away from them because demons are assholes. These models are like there's one with like a hook and a flail. And the face on that looks exactly like the bug alien from Men in Black.
Yes.
when he pulls that big weird smile because it's just skin stretched over a different form.
Are you talking about the one with the mohawk?
He's got that big, like, crooked, dorky smile. And the unit leader's got a mirror on his back, or their back, which is reminiscent of the...
That's very 2020.
Of the... is it the Epitome?
Yeah.
The two like Slanesh demons holding the big mirror. So it's got that same like wavy hypnotic effect to it, which is really cool. But another set of outrageous models. I mean, I'm not a fan of how GW has done whips in the modern era. They've done them in a sort of trying to imitate the action pose, so they've got it like swirling at some points and then crooked at others, like they're in whip.
Yeah,
but that's purely just because
I almost feel like it needs to be limp sometimes. Yeah. You need that limp whip dragging on the floor.
The Repentia Superior ones are quite good because in the action where they're actually whipping, it's more coming over the shoulder and curved, and then they've got multiple whips to put on. Like just on the armor and like a limp one in the hand, but it's not because the models are at fault. Just because I know that's A, going to be a pain in the ass to clean the mold lines off of, and B, will snap as soon as you put it in a case, or some oath comes over and picks it up.
Who uses a case anymore?
Cases.
Not seen a life.
an absolutely outrageous set of models. So it'll be interesting to see if this heralds a new edition of the Head Knights of Slaanesh book for AOS, or whether or not we're just going to get a sort of like a PDF download of their rules to just sort of slot them in for the Twin Souls, the Myrmidesh Painbringers, and obviously Big Siggy. Big Siggy.
Big Siggy.
But absolutely. I mean, again, another. I mean, I half expected to see some Mortal Slaanesh models, mainly because of the Mortal Slaanesh character that's in the what is it, Pain and something box, the
Pain and
something
or whatever.
Bloods. I don't know, the Snake Ladies versus the Slaanesh box, and there's a Mortal Slaanesh character in there, but them looking like this and being they're outrageous. Yeah. Always going to these GW previews going, I know what's going to be shown, and then you're blown away, even if it's something that is within the same ballpark as your expectations.
Yeah, so it was expecting Slaanesh stuff, and then we got the Slaanesh boy.
Mm-hmm.
And no.
Did you see the video?
Oh my god, it's amazing! It's a. I would.
He's so fabulous.
I would recommend going onto the Warhammer Community website, but it is one of GW's cartoon animations, and it's him throwing a bit of a hissy fit about someone trying to do his hair, and it pulls up to this massive like Slaaneshi like mobile hair salon. And he's complaining that he's complaining that you can't get the good help in the mortal realms. He's looking at himself in the mirror. He's got a big trophy saying "the Magnificent" and stuff. It's it's very funny. GW know what they're doing, and that is it is very funny to poke fun at that part of the Slaaneshi sort of ethos, and especially around this character.
It's funny that they just affect.
Well, that's it. Exactly. We and people on the internet are going to make fun of them, so they might as well do it first.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great set of models. Can't wait to see. I was. It
was a good preview.
Yeah, I'm always happy with the previews. So let's. Always, because I'm a shill. I'm a bootlicker. I love Games Workshop.
We've said it before and we'll say it again. You are GW's filthy cabana boy.
Yep.
All right, Valrat.
No, we don't get into internet controversy here. We just talk about how annoying it is when people log on to the previews and complain about the things that are being previewed that aren't the things that they thought they were going to be previewed. Fucking plebs.
What happened to the good old days?
It's like someone previewing vanilla ice cream.
Yeah. What happened to the good old days where people would just go onto live streams like that and just drop giant ASCII tokens into the chat?
I remember when we would go, have you seen the new GW releases? And we'd be like, GW releases? The last ones were 3 months ago. And you'd have to open up White Dwarf and be like, oh, some models. Like, the fact... Yeah, just a second. Need some rum to calm me down. Yeah.
Is that what that was? I was half expecting you to explain.
Yeah, like people can so for example, there were people complaining that this is called Decadence and Decay, and there's been nothing for the Death Guard.
Really? I just
want people who are listening to know that if you're the sort of person that complains on a preview that it isn't previewy enough, or they haven't previewed the things that you want, you can fuck off. Basically, that's it. I mean, quick example, just because. So the first bit was the Decay portion, and it was about the Death Guard and the Death Guard campaign that's coming up. And they had a video.
And it's not the thing I wanted.
And then they talked about it. And then someone put well, that's not a preview. That's a teaser trailer. And they were clearly so incensed that it wasn't a preview that they were furiously typing and complaining about it not being a preview whilst they were describing the things that are in the book. That is the preview. I just absolutely love it. Yeah.
If you're one of these people listening, please take the time, look in the mirror,
Come at me,
re-establish your life,
at Sir
stop
Callum.
and think about what you do.
Yeah.
I'll give you Callum's address.
Yeah.
We'll give you somewhere to meet.
Yeah.
And he will take a bath to you.
Because, it's been a really shitty year, and it really doesn't need people being arseholes about something cool that the company for the games that we all love is releasing new models and is showing us. Basically. Anyways, great preview as always. Any more thoughts on that before we roll over to some general chit chat?
No, I think we got well.
No, mate. I think we covered it all. But excited to have a chat about what's there.
Sure, cool. Join us again in a second, as Ricky probably needs another pee break, and we're going to be talking. We're going to be talking about my first foray into TTS. And some games and some questions from the audience. So join us again shortly. Okay, well, fantastic. Thanks for sticking with us. So we've not really got a massive topic, so we're just going to really just sort of chuck some conversation about.
As we do.
As we do. Just sort of chat nonsense and wait for the conversation to die out, or one of us to say something that annoys the other ones, and then we finish. So
do we do that?
I mean,
you have. I mean, you've never told.
So sort of alluded to earlier on in the episode, I played my first game on Tabletop Simulator this week.
How was that?
Yeah, it was all right, actually. Like, I sort of turned my nose up at it earlier this year, and obviously I've played far fewer games this year than I normally do, and
I can probably count on one hand how many games I've played.
And all against me.
Yeah, you or Tom.
And sort of accepting the fact that we are probably going to be locked down over Christmas and early next year.
Don't say that.
And wanting to play some games is really the necessity behind it. So lovely Mr. Peter Spratt rolled me through a game Wednesday night, I'm going to say. I can't really remember. So I've still got to play about with how you set up a board and put armies and stuff together, because you can sort of save those and import them into an open
like
game.
a photograph?
Yeah, essentially. Well, not your own stuff. So there are like
okay.
So there are models within the game which are like scanned pictures of models. So most of them are taken from the like 360 pictures on the GW website, and then sort of scanned, and then you can pick them up and move them individually within the game. It's quite it's a lot better than I thought it was. I'm not sure that I would be the sort of person who, because since like March, people have been playing and organising tournaments on Tabletop Simulator and stuff like that. And I thought, might as well give it a go. It means I get to play some games with Pete and then some of the other guys maybe, but it's more of a necessity than anything at the moment. I mean, I don't live on my own, but the other person who lives in my house doesn't play Warhammer, so I've not really got the opportunity to play any games with anybody. So
make them learn.
No, I think having my toys everywhere in the house is probably enough. Without,
I mean, I've got a basketball court near me that's not used, so I can meet one other person in an outdoor space, right?
From
It's,
heaven,
it's
we'll get
not
stabbed.
heading towards middle-aged white boy one-on-one basketball.
Basketball.
There is nothing
Yeah.
more tragic than
Although-
No, I was just asking if Callum wanted to come play basketball.
that does remind me of a story.
White boy don't jump.
No. A story.
and Callum ain't Woody Harrelson.
Ain't. Did you say ain't or eight?
He said eight.
Because I thought you were body shaming you for a second then, and was like,
Oh.
yeah, I do probably weigh the same amount as me earlier this year plus Woody Harrelson, so it might be accurate.
Oh man, put yourself down.
But
Put
no,
yourself down.
when the lockdown was lifted at like 1 past midnight in Australia earlier this year, some guys who like lived down the street from each other ran out and set up a game under a streetlight and played some like AOS or something.
Really?
Like in the middle
What,
of
in
the
Australia?
night. Yeah.
And then they
Yeah.
got the shit kicked out of them and their toys stolen.
But,
Come here, then, you fucking
No,
nerd.
that would be if you did it here.
Yeah.
oh no, yeah, but yeah,
Can you imagine running out onto Albert Road at 3 a.m. and setting up a table?
yeah.
You'd be dead before you put the fucking trestle down.
Well, I think it was. I imagine it was probably in the suburbs.
I needed a trestle.
But no, I thought that was quite nice. That's quite a wholesome thing because they hadn't been
That's quite
able
cool.
to obviously play for 3 months, and that was
Yeah.
quite cool. But yeah, so yeah, more of a necessity than anything. So I imagine there'll be a few other people within our group that will want to set up. Takes a bit longer, requires you to be a bit more sort of forgiving with where models and stuff are placed. But
Do you have to have a PC?
I'm not sure if you can run it on Mac. Like I
Okay.
don't know.
I mean, I got a Mac and I've got iPad and all
Yeah,
that
I'm not.
mumbo jumbo,
I'm not sure. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not sure if it can run on an iPad. But
Okay.
I mean, can you have? Do you have Steam on your Mac book?
I don't know. I've never really.
I don't know. I'm an actual
It's not
computer
my
invalid.
area of expertise.
So,
yeah, I still have an Xbox 360.
Yeah. So maybe. I assume so.
Okay.
Like I don't see why not, but who knows? But actually, just to have that experience of rolling dice and playing a game of 40k is all right. And then obviously there's AOS and other mods and stuff people have done that you can sort of download and play on. But yeah, it was okay. Like I said, I wouldn't play a tournament. I'm hesitant to sort of.
Ain't that desperate peasant?
I'm hesitant to use it as a vehicle to like try stuff out because I feel like that leads you down a dark path of.
You never actually complete anything.
Yeah, you're never going to complete anything, or sort of. You've always got the option to play it online. Then, I know.
Takes the essence away of what it is.
Yeah, but I imagine in some instances it will be good to be like, okay, I do want to try this unit, and at the moment I can't play a physical game, so is it the next best option rather than just sitting around for what would have been like, well, maybe 12 months by the time we're actually let out, sometime in March, and then being like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. And then having bought and painted all of this stuff, and then just being like, "This is crap." Yeah, I mean, it was okay. It took a little bit longer, but the game flowed as a game of 40k would flow. Like the objectives are already hard pointed. So the one that we played, we generated a mission at the GT pack, and the program we were playing it on had them all listed. So when we chose the mission, It gave us the deployment zones and where the objectives are. And like they're already on the table, so you don't even have to like place them or worry about accidentally picking them up or whatever. Did discover that you can just pick other people's stuff up. Obviously, because you're just
digitally touch someone else's toys.
Well, not only can you pick them up, but you can obviously throw them because you can.
Oh my god!
Let go of the mouse.
Is there a flip
table flip?
Yeah, is there a flip table button?
There is a flip the table button, which I got to do at the end of mine in Pete's game,
Yeah.
and everything just goes flying in the air. but there's a because obviously the actual core of the game itself is to play like parlor games and board games digitally. So there's loads of different interactions that you can do with things within the program. So there's like a flick button where you playing like Subbuteo or something.
I hope
so you can. So you can flick. So whenever models were dying, I was taking the opportunity, which you would never do in real life, and just yeet them into the stratosphere. So that was quite cool. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was okay. Like I said, I can't see myself using it to play 40k for the rest of my life now, because that's not what, it's not just, like, I don't play 40k just to play 40k. I play it because of the whole hobby, and it's better to play it face to face with someone. But as a tool under the current situation, it was all right. Yeah, it was enjoyable to catch up with a friend who I don't get to play a lot because of his work and other life commitments. So and he plays with his brother who lives in a different part of the country, and his brother plays with like his friends in Scotland or whatever. So for people who are even more restricted than normal, it's it's pretty good. I hope hopefully a couple of other people pick it up, and we'll just sort of bimble our way through it. I was going to spend some time either later this evening just reading guides on how to create battlefields and stuff within the game, because the board that we played on didn't really have defined terrain areas. Like, the board looked really cool. It was like a ruined city, and there were like piles of dead marines and flames and trees and ruins everywhere. But for actually playing the game, there wasn't a like when you're playing game 40k, you base all of your terrain, so you know the clear definitions of where everything is. So so we was just sort of, well, the ruins are obscuring terrain, but where does that start? When do you enter it, etc., etc. But we just rolled some dice, killed some stuff. Yeah, it was good fun.
Sometimes that's all you need, though.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully, we'll be able to try out some list ideas and bits and pieces, but just another arrow in the quiver of batting away insanity, I think.
I mean, they were talking on the old live stream that Warhammer Underworlds is quite fun to play over some kind of stream or phone call or video chat or something like that.
Yeah. It's very easy.
There's always that. If I mean, we've been quite good. We carried on chatting over all these lockdowns, and we've interacted with each other and chatted hobby a lot. I think we've been quite good and not needed to physically play the games. But I mean, there's always that.
I don't know what you're talking about. We took armies to centre parks, Ricky.
Yeah. All right. You're right there.
But
I mean, if we really needed to roll some dice, we probably could have.
I mean, a couple of the guys from our local club, Bill and Craig, have played some games of Napoleonics via like video chat. So each of them has set up a board and then set up their army, and then set up like their opponent's army. I think was like card sheets and things, because it's all about maneuvering your squares and everything. And then
I would just watch a movie.
but apparently that worked quite well. So they were just like, oh yeah, I'm going to march these guys like 12 inches to the top of the hill, and then you would move your own models, and then like your opponent would move that card sheet that represented that unit.
They must have really been jonesing for a game hit.
Yeah,
I'd have just fucking had a smoke and watched Sharp instead.
Yes. Oh,
yeah,
that's it. I've wasted this lockdown. I should have done that.
To be fair, I haven't watched Sharp in a long time.
So
yeah. Is there going to be a remake? Let's not hold on. This is a Warhammer podcast.
Possibly, but everybody loves Sharp. I hope it's not. I hope it's not remade. But then again, because it wouldn't have the same sort of 90s charm, shall we say, of the original one. But imagine if Amazon or Netflix or whatever did Sharp.
Hands on it. Yeah,
like that would be incredible. Like if they did it again, start to finish, like it would be amazing. But it probably wouldn't have Sean Bean playing Sharp in it, because he's like 60 years old now.
Yeah, but you can have a 60-year-old general.
Oh yeah, no, but he wouldn't be. Yeah, but I mean, like,
he could be like Trajan Valoris, like, you just stand there proud, watching the world.
But they've done all of the other stories about Sharp after the Napoleonic Wars already. Yeah.
Oh, have they?
Obviously not a massive Sharp fan, but anyway, Warhammer podcast.
I'm not. I like Sharp. Can't tell you that I've really. Anyway, Warhammer podcast.
Yeah, but apparently that worked quite well. Like people are finding ways to keep themselves entertained and still keeping in contact with their gaming community. So you can't really knock it, and it was all right. So I think I'm going to have a bit more research and then maybe play our buddy Alan at some AOS, so he'll stop messaging me to play him AOS, and then see whoever.
So to shut
maybe.
Alan up.
No, I'd love to. I'd love to play some AOS, to be honest. And
I take it we're talking about Top Simulator.
Not actual.
I mean, effectively, do we think this lockdown is really going to end?
No, and not to bring anybody down, but like the sort of things that have been whispered about are essentially opening everything up 5 to 10 days prior to Christmas to let everybody get all of their Christmas shopping done and
get the plague. And then
essentially pump that money into the economy, let people celebrate Christmas. But there was one advisor who said essentially 5 days over Christmas, like essentially works out to 25 days lockdown in January. That's the basic math of that's what you need to do.
Well, I was only wondering if that was the case. Then obviously we have open homes, we have some tables. Let's get some games in before Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it's just because you can do it. Does that mean that you should do it? Because our local hospital is apparently on fire at the moment. So I'd be tentative about that, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. We've just got to grin and bear it until
play it by ear.
Yeah, that's a better way of looking at it. So it was okay. Have a look, see if you can get it on Mac, Ricky, and then see what we can do.
Tom, friend of the show, obviously I catch up with a fair bit. He's been playing a few games of it, and I do understand that he has a MacBook of sorts. So I don't know if he plays it on that or he has something else.
We're terribly inept millennials, aren't we? Like we're supposed to be the generation who's quite good with technology.
Quite shit. Yeah, but then we've delved in plastic toy soldiers, and rather than tech.
Drinking when I was supposed to be doing all that stuff, I think.
Yeah, that's probably where I'm really going to go with this. Does that make us real?
Well, yeah, I think we've got that part down quite well.
Cool.
Yes.
Yes.
Should
we move on?
Yeah, it was okay. I'll see what it's like going forward.
Good. Well done.
If I get fed up with it, I'm sure I'll tell everybody.
I'm sure you will.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
This is shit.
This is shit. The game took 7 hours. Anyway, cool. Shall we take some questions from the audience?
From the audience. Oh, it's like we're live.
Yeah, questions from the listener.
You say the listener. Shall I go through some stats quickly? Because everybody likes to hear statistics about the podcast that they're listening to.
Because you don't let us, the rest of us, know, do you?
I look at it once every 2 weeks whilst we're recording. So we've had 300, as of recording, we've had 390 plays across all platforms apart from YouTube, because that's something separate.
Hey,
so that's not bad at all. That's pretty much it averages out at 50 an episode, so 50 people. Maybe.
Wow, well, 50.
Yeah.
50 people that like to listen to three random
obviously obviously averages out to that. We've got based on the recent episodes, we've got an estimated audience of 32 people. So that's not bad.
That's pretty good. That's more than what I think we ever
especially considering some of the sound issues we had over the last couple of weeks or so. In the last 7 days, we've got 4 new unique listeners, which is quite cool. Welcome,
Very
welcome.
free.
And geographic locations, caveat, probably just VPNs at this point.
No,
well,
I mean, from us.
Well,
We had
Singapore's still on there, but probably a VPN. But if it's not, howdy. Obviously, we've got a bunch of people in the UK. That's fine. We've got some set in the US, so that may be VPNs, because obviously you can get a lot of good stuff on telly and stuff in the US that you can't get here. Republic of Ireland, again, who knows? I don't know what the internet's like in the Republic of Ireland, whether or not they've got
say that's genuine.
stuff that we can't. But we've got Germany, Canada, and Singapore as well. So
Nice.
each one of those is 1% or less. But the UK takes up 83% of our listeners, and then the United States is 14%. So
Nice. I can't give you geographic data on any of the YouTube stuff beyond the UK, which seems to make up about like 40% of our views on YouTube. The rest is VPNified.
yeah, I imagine most people who stumble across it on YouTube are looking for Civil War documentaries when they're typing in "War Down South."
these weirdos that are listening to it over YouTube have racked up over 56 hours of listening to us talk absolute bollocks since we started.
Cool. So about 2 hours an episode, so 26 listens all the way through. That's pretty cool. That's rad. Age range is a bit of a funny one. We've got 1% who are below 18, which this is a not safe for work podcast, so you really shouldn't be listening. 18 to 22 Naughty. Is 13%. There is nobody between the age of 23 and 27 who listens, apparently, which is probably the people in their advanced drinking part of their hobby cycle. So they're probably on the downturn from the from the giddy highs of before they come into middle age and start playing with toys again. 54% are 28 to 34, and then we've got 31%, which is 35 to 44. So I imagine that's the rest of our old man group friends. Although there's nobody over 45, so this can't be correct. How old is Nick? I thought he was 45.
Nick's under 45 and a half. I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, you're the oldest. You're 52.
Well, I didn't listen, so I don't show up on the thing. Anyway.
Do you not?
No,
you don't listen to
I just like hearing my own voice on Mondays whilst I'm working.
Nick's 10 years older than me.
How old are you?
35.
44,
he
45.
is 45.
Okay.
Well, looking at some of these stats, there are some actual mental gamblers.
Sorry, Nick. I didn't mean to
mental gamblers.
There are some mental gamblers that have listened to our stuff purely on YouTube suggestions.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay, that's good.
Wow, we get YouTube suggestions.
That's pretty cool.
Living the dream, man.
I can't imagine actual, like, are they listening to quality podcasts about Warhammer on YouTube and then somehow are being directed our way and then watching?
I mean, it's quite likely.
Yeah. Or again, are they people looking for Civil War documentaries?
I don't know. According to this, there are a couple of people that stayed for quite some time after being suggested episode 4, Heavy Intercessors Ate My Baby. So,
that's all right then.
Probably. We probably hit like a niche sort of German yokel sort of area.
That is the second time we've talked about eating babies this week.
Oh God, it is. Bizarre. Yeah. I had a baby for lunch during the week.
When you say we,
Sam mentioned in one of our group chats that he had veal for lunch, and obviously veal is a delicious baby. And then I put up a gif of Chris Evans from Snowpiercer saying, "I know that babies taste best."
It's obviously some kind of group chat.
No, you were
I'm
in there.
not part of.
I don't know. But either way, that's the second.
Baby
time.
is a king's meat. That is, we'll leave it at that.
So no more talking about eating babies for the next couple of episodes. So we balance it out.
Should we actually talk about
sure.
Warhammer?
What were we doing? We were going to take questions from the audience.
Jesus Christ.
10 minutes ago.
We did, yeah.
Sorry. Carry on.
That was 10 minutes ago, yeah. I mean, Sam,
I have not got that screen up at the moment, so if you've got it.
can. I have, so yeah, cool. Okay, so we'll do it in question order. So our friend of the show and local Warhammer manager, Mr. Lee Hiscock, cheers Lee, always appreciative. He has asked, "What's the best model you have?"
Oh, I thought it was
bought?
Neverbought.
Oh yeah. I reread that earlier. Yeah.
Oh, never. No, you are right. Never bought. Well, I don't know if Lee. Yeah, but it's Lee. Has he actually done that correctly?
He isn't. He is an islander. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Best medal that I've never bought. I imagine it's ones that you can like say no longer buy, because I could go out and buy anything I want. Well, no, anybody can do. You just need to, yeah, you just got to work
have
it.
The money.
Take some extra shifts, do some favours for sailors. We are a naval city after all.
Right. I've got Callum turning tricks 24/7.
Anything I've missed out on that I regret not buying.
This is a really tough question. I was trying to have a think about it earlier.
I kind of when we used to play a lot of 7th edition and 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy back in the old Empire days, when it was a terror of the local Games Workshop. I do miss not buying a land ship from Forge World. I wish I had a land ship. Not that I can recall that it actually had any rules, but that model was outstanding.
Not until the Tamerkan book.
Yeah. Just a big ridiculous thing that just encapsulated old world Empire all in one giant boat with wheels. Probably I would probably say Empire land ship. just because the whole thing is outrageous and I love it.
Wow.
See, mine falls into that same area.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's that same area. I've never ever played Empire, but there were 2 Forge World items that I wish I'd actually bought for myself, and one was Elspeth von Draken. I did one as a commission piece for some random sailor years and years ago, and I wish I'd taken better pictures of it because I loved it, and I should have bought one myself. And the other one, I wish I'd bought it. It's that character they did in the very limited Empire range they had on Forge World. What was his name? Theodore Bruckner, the guy on the first guy they did on the Demigryph.
On the Demigryph, yeah.
Just
Theobald,
just want to have that to paint.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, lovely model.
I remember
just
him.
Like Empire guy,
I might
giant
have to do a bit of Googling.
I'll send it to you
without
while
wings.
we talk.
Beautiful model. Yeah. Okay, 2 for 2 for Forge World at the moment. So don't stop your Forge World lines. Forge World. Ricky?
It's going to be a Forge World model. I think something that I've always wanted and I've never bought was the Mega Squigget.
Oh, the Gargantuan.
Squigget?
Oh,
the Gargantuan
Squigget.
Yeah, I remember the day that. Yeah, I remember when it came out, and I was just literally. I think I might have been in my bad stage of my orcs. I regret getting rid of them. And yeah, that is obviously because it was quite an early Forge World model. Because that was the days of when they really showed off what they could do, rather than just. I mean, I feel like now they generally do bits and pieces, and generally just add to the 40k range rather than just do huge.
Well, I think
which
I think Forge World's moving away from 40k, because I can't like they haven't,
Possibly, yeah.
as far as
They
I'm
do
aware,
seem to be retiring a lot, don't they?
Yeah. So a lot of it's been legended because obviously they don't have access to the molds anymore, or they're not worth producing. But I can't recall the last time they've actually released a new model specifically for 40k. So, but you have to remember, a lot of the Forge World team does the new Middle Earth, Blood Bowl ranges. So it's
Necromunda. Is Necromunda still part of this?
I think that all comes under the Forge World sort of House Forge World now. So
House Forge World. With their space board.
I think that's a better place than them randomly producing bits and pieces for 40k. I think that's a better use for them for sure.
I think so. I mean, I liked where they started when you could get. In fact, we're probably on another of my models that I never bought was the Azaman bust of when he stood up. When they did all those busts or early large scale models that I wish I bought, to be fair, but I never did because I was young and I was looking at it going, that's really cool, but I can't use it. I want to smash toys together, and now I'm not a lot older. Stage. I go, I support
that. Cool. Well, thank you very much for that, Lee. Nothing we can buy from your store, unfortunately. Apparently, all Forge World. But
sorry, Lee. Sorry. I mean, we could go to Warhammer World with him, and we can pretend we're buying.
Could ask him to use his GW discount. No. Anyway, fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Lee. Who's next?
Mr.
Anybody who listens is a friend of the show.
Friend. Our wonderful friend. Exactly. Exactly. Ben. Mr. Ben Counter. I couldn't ask for anything less from this wonderful gentleman. And he is asking us, what are your guesses for whether another Primarch is going to show up in 40k, and which one do you think it will be?
I would say, just for the simplicity of it, to exclude Fulgrim and Angron, because I assume they're going to be men-made.
I guess we're a little bit
you've got Magnus and Mortarion. The assumption is you would at least get the other two for the other two gods. So, yeah, exactly.
Because there's
a few other Primarchs actually floating about that we know, but I assume they're not going to. I assume they're not going to produce a model for Perturabo because he's plugged into a planet. And obviously Horus is dead, and all of the Horus clones are dead, as far as I'm aware. So
allegedly,
the Night Haunt is dead. Dead. According to an assassin who, he's dead because the soldering. You see it happen in the Soldringers books. It's awesome. Something like that.
Her name's Michelle or something, isn't it? From what I remember rightly.
He's dead. One of
check me out.
Oh, spoilers. One of Alfarius / Omegon is dead. Maybe.
Allegedly.
Because Guilliman kills one of them. Maybe. Yeah,
I'm going to say
I would love him. Just a big or Mongolian Khan.
I would see. I think it's more likely to be an Imperial one other than Angron and Fulgrim, but it would have to be the ones that is different enough from Guilliman, because Guilliman's a bit of a beatstick because he's a Primarch, but obviously is there to fulfill like the supreme tactical role within the Imperium. He is governor. He is in charge, like, of everything. So I feel like it would have to be like one of the fighty ones. Yeah, I feel like it would have to be one of the fighty ones, like Jagatai, Leman Russ, or.
I don't want to. I think it would be too. I think if you brought Leman Russ back, I think literally all the neckbeards will go mental. And I don't think that would ever really happen for a long period. I think they feel. I feel like that needs to be dragged out a bit more.
Like the mystery that he's gone. Whereas Jagatai was sort of, I think the lore surrounding.
He's in a Pokeball, isn't he?
Well, yeah, he he might. Well, he might be
A magic
captured
8-ball.
by. Is it Trazin?
Yeah, Trazin.
Yeah,
Trazin the
Trazin.
Infinite.
Which is
Got him
quite
in a
cool.
little 8-ball.
Yeah.
He'll occasionally go, "Am I evil enough?" And he'll shake it and it'll go, "Ooh, and they're like, good Mongolian." Put it back in his bag.
Sidebar on Trazin. Anybody who's read The Infinite and the Divine, the new Necron book, oh my god, it's amazing. It's got some proper Necron sort of really dry comedy in it, and it's really good.
My brain immediately went
Necron
to
comedy.
a stand-up Necron comic.
There's a bit where they're chatting and they're under attack by orcs, and one of them goes, "We're being boarded," and the other one turns around and says, "That's okay. We're sealed and we're entering to space." And they go, "Do orcs need to breathe?" Prepare to be boarded because they don't know. There's loads of interactions between these like super like tens of thousands years old Necrons, millennia old Necrons who are just sort of not up to date with the universe.
My brain immediately went to robot Jerry Seinfeld going, "What's the deal with the old ones?"
I guess like in the War of the Heavens when the orcs were created by the old ones to defeat the Necrons, like the orcs then started fighting amongst each other so quickly they probably went,
I just thought it was really funny.
Up, did they? And so they're
it's either a commentary on how orc physiology works, and do they actually need to breathe, and it's just sort of or the ingenuity of orcs that you, regardless of whether or not they need to breathe, you're going to be boarded because they want to fight you. So it was just
Well, that's the orc mentality all along, isn't it? Especially like if they want to do something, there's their psychic entity that they are is like, well, just do it. Because I think you always remember like the ethos around their weapons.
This
when
shouldn't
the
work.
mechanic
it's just a tube with bullets stuck in it.
Well, this shouldn't work.
This is a bit of paper that says "bang" in crayon.
But yes.
And yet somehow it's killed 30 guardsmen.
But yes, what was the question? Primarchs.
Your guesses.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to like.
Which one's next?
Yeah, I'd like to see one of the other Imperial Primarchs that
like
has
an
personality.
Imperial one.
Yeah, not.
Who is left? Effectively,
Jagatai
isn't recorded
Russ,
as dead.
The Lion, we know he's alive. Not Fulgrim.
Vulcan's in his sarcophagus, isn't it?
Yeah, well, so we don't know whether or not Vulcan's actually dead or not, because I don't want to. I don't want to spoil what happens in the Horus Heresy because Vulcan's storyline's really good. So it's only really those three, and Lehman Russ is boring because Space Wolves are boring, and if you like Space Wolves, you're boring, and I hate you. And the Lion, I feel, is a bit too similar to Guilliman because he's the other like supreme tactician. I think he's the only.
He's the other poster boy that's left alive, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the only. I think he was the only other Primarch other than Horus during the Heresy who wasn't defeated, like during the Great Crusade.
They were the ones that were brilliant at what they did.
A supreme fighter because he could fight the other Primarchs because he used to go around punching monsters to death. But I feel like that, like in game, in a realistic, like applying that to the game, he would just be Guilliman. But yeah, I would like to see Jagatai. I'd like to see Jagatai on a giant bike. Just
Jagatai would probably be the most
big old big pimping scimitar.
Just
driving a Land Raider.
So that would be very good. I'd like to see some other Primarchs as long as it sort of makes sense. Like it took a lot of work for them to bring Guilliman back from his suspended animation. Like and gods,
And
they
that
had to
had to bring
create
in other
they had to create
races.
an avatar, and then
Yeah.
they had to get a box which they put Gulliman in. I don't know. I can't really remember. But it was.
And then he can only come
And we
onto
had to
land
bring
once every
a
10 years to
Mechanicus
shag
guy
Keira
in
Knightley.
and-
That might be something else. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
What are you
unfortunately
thinking of?
Pirates of the Caribbean, and Keira Knightley isn't in the Warhammer universe, unfortunately.
That you know of.
But yeah, all of the
It is a shame.
all of the other cool Chaos Primarchs are dead. I mean, Dawn's technically missing.
Yeah,
But-
they've got his hand or something, haven't they?
But they found his hand.
Yeah, he's not recorded as dead, is he?
Yeah, not a fist.
The hand of Dawn. That's a.
But
Yeah, I was about to say.
yeah, so
isn't that a relic?
I mean, logically, I say logically, it doesn't matter. We're applying it to a different universe that exists because we play toy soldiers. But you know, Jagatai would be cool.
Yeah,
I think everyone would like Jagatai. I like that in the Heresy books, in the White Scars novels, nobody knows who he's going to side with, which is quite cool because he's seen as like a really savage warrior philosopher who gets on really well with Horus because he's really good at chopping stuff up, but he also likes to play chess. And if you like to play chess, you can't be a bad guy. I think that's fact. So, well, I say so.
Really?
I think so.
We'll allow it.
We got any more?
Shall we move on?
Oh, loads.
Yeah, we have. So, who's your favourite 40k character in lore, and whose rules best match the character in lore? I mean, I know who I love, but I don't know if I know who really reflects who he should reflect.
Go on then.
Or her.
No, I need to think about it.
I didn't know if anyone else was going to elaborate a bit more. Yeah, that's fine. I love Illic Nightspear, who is obviously the Alatok Ranger special character that was recently brought in a few editions ago. I just love everything that he represents. He's literally like, he remembers the War of the Heavens, so he's super ancient. He's probably a good 10,000 years old. Eldar, outlaw, snipery type guy who literally goes around to Necron homeworlds that he remembers and shoots the Overlord. That's like literally his dedicated role. I just think it's quite cool that he's that old. He's got this personal grudge. I mean, he just buggers off. He goes and does his own thing.
It sounds like he's got a bit of a vendetta that he really should have let go, and he's going around capping people in their nursing homes.
Yeah,
that's a bit much.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. Like Necron Overlord goes past a clock tower.
And you can't rely on a cold snap to take out, Necron pensioners. So
that's awful.
I love it. I really like. I do really like him. I think he's cool. I think he's wicked. I only because probably he's not that conventional character that everybody loves in Eldar history, like Azaman or Eldrad or someone like that. Eldrad's cool, mate, but he's no Illic. But for who really represents what they should on the battlefield, I mean,
yeah. See, I don't think any of them really can they?
Because on the battlefield from like Magnus pulls planets to the floor. I mean, Eldrad can predict the future in every way, shape, or form and manipulate himself and everything around him. I mean, who really does?
Eisenhorn.
Like,
Eisenhorn was pretty close, and he was going to be my pick.
He's got a little demon in a box.
Yeah. I think they...
Strachan.
They came very close with Eisenhorn's rules to capturing him just right. I think to summon the demon, he should have had to sacrifice like an acolyte,
Yeah.
But Yeah, they're probably the closest
gonna be
because they don't
guard
have to do
characters, isn't
anything
it?
ridiculous.
And typically,
And because they can't be
like,
ridiculous.
I mean, what the Inquisition characters can do in game that represents what they can do in lore, it's pretty good. It's just that the orbital bombardment and stuff doesn't destroy the planet.
Yeah, and the special demon host that Eisenhorn
yeah,
can summon
good point,
can't
good point.
fight a Titan.
Well, have you tried?
I haven't.
There you go.
I will.
How'd you
I'm just, call me a pessimist.
going to engineer that.
That's right. We do know a guy working on a Warlord Titan, so we'll try this out.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
Ryan, if you're listening, I'm throwing down the gauntlet.
I think he's been very busy.
I haven't heard from Ryan in a long time. I'm throwing. I was hoping to throw down the gauntlet. Now I've built a phantom.
So who's your favourite character
Ryan.
in lore then, Sam?
I want your warlord.
For me, it is a tie between Eisenhorn and Gideon Ravener. I love Ravener. That he's just a little box with a Stephen Hawkins voice rolling around, dishing out fucking psychic justice in the old Space West. I fucking love him. He's just got a ridiculous ragtag band of fucking gymnasts and disgraced detectives following him around. I love him. I love them both. They're brilliant.
He is that Burns victim teacher from South Park, isn't he?
Yeah.
No, that's really great. I'll read it out.
It says, please stop addressing me as friend of the show. I am thoroughly ashamed.
I was just thinking, is this live? He's asking, do you remember that do you have Lynxes? Yes, I do have Lynxes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll address
my favourite character is quite in lore. It doesn't have doesn't have a model in the game, but my favourite character in GW's background is Guardsman Julius Hawk. He's the best.
What?
I'm not familiar with Guardsman Hawk.
Guardsman Hawk from Storm of Iron. He is the one guardsman who survives the initial sort of raid by the Iron Warriors and survives in the desert, and then ends up launching like a massive death strike nuclear.
I really need to read this book. I've had it on my Kindle for years. Yeah, I've never read Storm of Iron. I remember you recommending it to me absolutely fucking ages ago.
Right, okay.
And I've had it on my Kindle ready to go.
Start tomorrow or start tonight, because it is one of the best 40k novels out there. It stands the test of time. And now I can't really talk about how much I love Julius Hawk because no,
just go for it because I'm old and I'll forget in 5 minutes.
Okay, well that's fine. He epitomizes how I would feel if I was in the Imperial Guard, which is I don't want to do this, so I'm going to find a way to get out of doing this.
I was going to say, I imagine you as a guardsman would utter the noise a lot.
And he ends up in one of Graham McNeil's later novel series called Forges of Mars, which is about a Arch Mechanicus that goes out on a crusade to go find some stuff. And he randomly gets picked up in a bar in a container. And there's an amazing bit where the main characters are talking and they're like, oh, who's that guy? And some drunk guys are like, oh, he's some idiot who thinks he's killed a space marine. And he's like, I have killed space marines. And then he identifies himself as Julius Hawk, and he killed lots and lots of space marines. And he's living out on a spaceship, like between some containers, making some like bootleg Amsec space whiskey, and that's how I feel like I would end up in the 40k universe.
A shine runner.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
I'm starting to understand.
I love Hawk. He's great. He's a sarcastic
Why your
asshole who
choice is
doesn't
this?
want to do his job properly.
Oh my god, it's you!
But in game,
Semi-biographical.
Someone's literally written
in
about it.
game. No. It's he's a Graham McNeil character.
This wasn't Ben, was it?
But in game, I think Eisenhorn's
No,
pretty
shame.
close.
It's pretty close. I think the only thing that let him down on the rules front was there was zero consideration for slotting him and his ability to summon the demon into other armies without breaking them.
Yes, yeah. Well, no, you can put him. You can
put him in.
Yeah, but the
and
demon
you can summon it.
Yeah, but you can summon it. But when you summon models, that doesn't break your army.
It did in the previous edition. I haven't looked at fielding him in this one.
Yeah. You can get away with it now.
Oh, huzzah!
Yeah, he doesn't appear and then just instantly break all of your faction rules.
Oh, thanks for that.
But
that was my big letdown for him because obviously he was an 8th edition release, wasn't he?
But he's I would say that's who's best reflected rules wise. Next question. Have we got another one? Or should we wrap up? Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Good questions.
They were good. They were nice and thoughtful, and each one of them took us on silly tangents, which is great. Go out and read Black Library novels because they are really good in some instances. Surprising considering you've been in the hobby 30 years or something like that, I imagine. It's surprising that someone who appreciates all levels of the hobby doesn't actually read the background. This sort of guy. This guy.
Careful. I read the background, but I read the background as it's produced via codexes, etc. I never really delved in the whole Black Library thing because I think there was a period where they were quite contradictory to the lore that had been written by the designers.
Well, Phil Kelly didn't like it.
I kind of got on my high horse and was a bit like, "No, come on." I guess this. Well, this is a novel which I appreciate is using its artistic, talent to produce this, that, and the other. But I feel now they're more towards helping forge that backstory behind a lot of the races, which is really good. Which is why I feel like I
would recommend it. I mean,
dabbling it a bit more than I ever used to.
The Heresy series is, and I know not everybody always wants to read about Space Marines, but it is fantastic. I know there are 60 books or whatever.
Yeah, I've read a bunch of them at random, and I've enjoyed every single one. There are some great.
The initial series following the Sons of Lunar Wolves before they become the Sons of Horus, and then they become the Sons of Horus, and then the ones that branch off of that, I would say are essential reads. And then you can just pick whatever legion you like and read the stories about them. I've just started the Siege of Terror series, and they are some of the best books GW has ever produced. They are outstanding.
See, now I want to reread Legion. I really enjoyed that book.
Legion's really good. Yeah, confused a lot of people because everyone's called Alpharis. But really great stuff. Right. Anyways, we should probably wrap it up there. So thanks very much for listening. This is quite a tangential episode, I believe. So thanks for sticking with us. I hope you guys either enjoyed the GW preview or go back and try and match up our descriptions of models to what GW have released, because they might not be entirely accurate, because everything we describe is awesome. So we'll leave that there. Anything else you want to say before we sign off, guys?
Nah,
mate. Well, thank you much for listening. Feel free to give us a follow on our Facebook page at War Down South, on Instagram at War Down South Podcast, and on YouTube where we're at War Down South Podcast, and Twitter where we're also at War Down South Podcast. We'll hopefully have some more more interesting conversations over the next couple of weeks. And feel free to pop us any questions via the Facebook page or Twitter or Instagram, and we'll address them in the next show. Thanks very much, guys.
Okay, bye-bye now.